Welcome back. We're looking at Psalm 80. And Psalm 80 is continuing on with what we've seen in the last couple of Psalms, this kind of response to and reflection on the destruction of Jerusalem, destruction of the temple. And it's an interesting psalm, not a long one. And I just want us to see a couple of things, really. But the main thing I want us to see is the refrain that comes up several times in this psalm. There's also a parable, which I'll mention and let you chase that for yourself. This is how the psalm begins. Give ear, O shepherd of Israel, you who lead Joseph like a flock, you who are enthroned upon the cherubim, shine forth. Let's notice that term there, shine forth. Before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh, stir up your might, come to save us. There's this language here of shining forth and coming to save. And then we get the refrain, verse 3. This verse here, we're going to see coming again and again. So, restore us, O God. Let your face shine, that we may be saved. There's that connection again between shining and saving. But notice this language here of restoration. Everything's been destroyed. Their circumstances are horrific. And the cry to God is, God, step in and bring about a restoration. Put things back together again for us. If we continue on after this initial 3 verses, kind of initial cry to God, they lament a little bit more, or the psalmist laments a little bit more the devastation that has been experienced. O Lord God of hosts, God of angel armies is the kind of idea coming through there. How long will you be angry with your people's prayers? You have fed them with the bread of tears and given them tears to drink in full measure. You make us an object of contention for our neighbors, and our enemies laugh among themselves. Restore us. There it is again. O God of hosts, let your face shine that we may be saved. You see the repetition coming through. This refrain comes in verse 3 and verse 7, and then again it comes in full in the final verse, verse 19. Now, between verse 8 and verse 18, that final third section, there is this parable developed of a vine, using the analogy of a vine, how it's been tended, what's happened to it, and what could happen in the future. I'll let you read through that section and kind of experience that for yourself. But I want us just to think about this refrain. Anytime a verse is being repeated or restated like this, it's not just a marker in the text. It's also a kind of a driving home of some key thoughts. This idea of restoration, that God is the one that is being looked to for that restoration. And then this second line, let your face shine that we may be saved. What is going on with that? Now, the idea of the face shining is an idea that may sound familiar from Numbers 6, the Aaron's blessing section in Numbers 6, where it talks about the Lord bless you and keep you, the Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. What is that image? Well, if you think of entering into the courtroom of the king, in ancient times, the king sitting on his throne and people coming in were really in danger. Kings were sort of notoriously fickle. And so if you come in at a time when the king is in a bad mood, it might be the last thing you do. And so naturally people would come into the king's presence with a certain amount of trepidation. You see it in the book of Esther when she comes before her own husband. There's that sort of anticipation or trepidation about coming before the king. But if the king lifts up his face and he's beaming with a smile, if he's radiating towards you welcome and grace and love and kindness, then there's hope. And that's what's going on here. They're crying out to God and they're saying, let your face shine. We want your face to shine upon us, because if your face will shine upon us, then we have hope that we may be saved. And so when you come to the end of the psalm, you get the third refrain. I thought it was interesting just to lay these side by side. The second line is identical each time. The opening cry, restore us, is the same. But notice what changes. Restore us, O God. And then that becomes, restore us, O God of hosts, God of angel armies, the one who's in charge of it all. And then finally, O Lord, God of hosts. Lord there, all capitals, that's the covenant name of God, Yahweh, God of hosts. The covenant-keeping, promise-making, promise-keeping God of angel armies. You're the one that we're crying to. If your face shines on us, then there's hope. And as we read this from a distance, we read this with a confidence, because we know with far more certainty than they did, because of what the Bible teaches, because of all that we know that comes beyond the book of Psalms, we know with confidence that the Lord, the promise-making, promise-keeping God of angel armies who's in charge of it all, his face certainly does shine upon us. And so we have hope. So take a look at Psalm 80. Share what you find with others. It's an encouraging psalm. It's a psalm that people need to hear. And so be sure to share it with them.